Check
your mic. Yeah?
Yeah. This is
Yeah, no,
game
it
over.
feels really good, actually. So tell the fans what's going on here. Tell the fans they need to know. Welcome to Impossible Way of Life, a NFL
fantasy sports podcast.
Yeah,
well, from on a fantasy level, I'll tell you what's going on.
Please
I was
do,
down
yeah.
in my head-to-head week, 3 points here.
Yeah.
And I'm about to lose because I have the running back for the Seahawks, and they just got sacked 3 times in a row.
Drew Brees still playing
So
for the
that's what they call a
Saints?
heartbreaking loss. No, Drew Brees is not playing. I think he retired he's retired.
So this is looking bad. 4th and 28 doesn't look good, hey?
It's over.
This
4th
guy's
and 28.
Brian Grease. It's kind of a Drew Brees style name.
What is now required is what they call a Hail Mary.
Oh, I know all about the Hail Mary.
For the Seahawks to
Well, I
even
used to play
attempt.
NFL Blitz on the N64.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, it was
basically
all about Hail Marys.
In that game, every pass is a Hail Mary.
Yeah, one of the greatest games of all time.
Oh yeah, and you could actually every hit was like a full on injury.
Send you back to your mother in a box.
Yeah,
That kind of vibe. Yeah, that's exactly it.
those.
Let's just at least see
I
how.
remember.
Okay,
Here comes the
it's
Hail Mary,
guys.
yeah.
There's only a minute to go. It's going to be fun.
Well, it's less than a minute if they don't get this.
I mean,
Let's run out
a
the clock.
minute. A minute's a long time in the NFL.
But this is it.
could
Here
be
we
an
go.
hour. Oh,
He's gonna get sacked in the end zone, dude.
Safety. Get out of town. Oh, well, I mean, he almost intercepted it, but I guess that's it.
That's game.
That's game, man. So the Seahawks are kind of done?
Well, Wilson, their quarterback's out.
Is he the
He's
guy
hurt.
from Home Improvement? Like the neighbor from Home Improvement? Possibly.
Pretty much. Well, you can't always see his face when he has the helmet on, so
It's a similar thing. Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
heartbreaking. So I'm in dead last in my fantasy league now. After this, big
just
play
look-
there.
He should have kept hold of that. That's kind of shit. He's pumped up, though. He's fired up.
Yeah, Seattle. You know, you think about a sport like football. You think, hey, there's a lot of things in play. It's not just you think it's not just one guy.
No.
They got the offensive coordinator, the calling the plays, the coach, everything. But sometimes then the quarterback gets hurt and they suck, and you're like, I guess it is kind of just one guy. Like Wilson's like the whole key to the whole team.
I think the key to all elite endeavors, including music, because some of our NFL fans like music too.
Yeah.
Is like that we actually don't know as much about any of this stuff as the elite level guys.
Right.
So like it's a game of inches, right? It's kind of similar to blues.
Well, fantasy football.
Like a lot, there's only a couple of notes. It's just what you do with them.
Well, it's brutal too. It's painful, like the blues. Like,
Well, you have to be in pain to play the blues.
we're talking about fantasy football.
Somebody
being the same
called
as blues,
the doctor.
right?
Are we going to do that for a bit? Okay, sure. Somebody called a doctor,
Right.
because I'm sick. Mm-hmm. Do you have to be sick to play the blues?
It helps probably.
Yeah? Like mentally.
Well, it depends what kind of blues. I mean, you mean like stuff like we were watching the other
Not
day,
party
like
blues.
Primus and stuff like that. And
Is that bluesy?
Pantera.
Do you
They're sick in the head.
They're sick in the head, but I mean, I don't know if that's bluesy.
No.
Do you think that you have to... we all know you have to pay the dues to play the blues.
Isn't Primus kind of bluesy?
I think it's kind of more kind of crabcore.
They're on tour, I believe, Black Mountain.
Black Mountain are bluesy,
With
yeah.
Primus.
I think the Black Mountain might be opening those shows, though.
They are.
They're bringing...
But I
they're-
mean,
they're kind of
maybe-
serving some Sabbath, for sure.
There's a psych blues element, perhaps, is what I'm saying.
Psych blues is an interesting genre. It's kind of like whitewashing blues. Like making it cool or something.
Well, I think it's making it acceptable to play. In a way. You like
because
add-
I've played those riffs in Black Mountain, and they're bluesy.
You fuzz it up, you wah it up, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's not a hate crime or something.
But at the same time, we all know that you're just playing cocaine by Eric Clapton, just with like a fuzz
Pretty much
pedal on.
Sunshine of Your Love. Yeah.
Same
Same riff. Weirdly. I didn't even think that.
Well, it's the only riff he's written. Are we learning something new about Clapton, that he's only written one riff and he just rehashes it?
Although, how about this one?
Okay.
Here's something interesting. Sunshine of Your Love came out before Cocaine.
Yeah.
Same. So like
down.
But certainly somebody did before Sunshine of Your Love, right?
Down.
Yeah.
But that's more kind of punk, Kinks energy.
Yeah, that you're right. That is.
You really got me.
Yeah, or there's also get the Motown. Get ready.
Yeah, that's definitely. I guess like there wasn't any riffs yet, so they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
I think the game's done, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't spare me, dude.
Do you think it's cool that they have a kind of like Pacific Northwest style like art, like Bill Reed art piece, Seattle?
Yeah.
Kind of like the VPD.
I like. Well, there's something very wrong with that. I'll tell you that. But I like the Seattle uniforms. I especially like the neon green ones. Everybody hates it. I think it's cool. It's like kind of highlighter green.
Kind of a laser quest, like kind of
laser tag feel.
We called it Quest in England, yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm just looking out for
That's cool. Laser Quest.
Dude, I'd love to play laser tag.
That's cool. Laser
tag's a really
Is
far
it more
out
adventure
scene.
Based?
No, I mean it's the same game. You're like shooting each other with laser.
I thought maybe there's more of a quest involved.
No, I actually would go and play laser tag. You can still play it? Do you think
they got a warehouse or something out in Richmond?
Have you ever played paintball?
Oh, dude, don't get me started, man.
You want to tell me about your paintball story?
Which one?
You got a few different paintball stories?
Yeah, and they're all brutal.
I played it on MDMA once.
Oh, God. That sounds horrible. That's like being in Vietnam on acid.
There's going to be some people listening who my friends of the pod and friends of mine in real life who were at that game. It was like being at Vimy Ridge. Seriously. It was like storming. It was like D-Day. It felt like when you were going out into those like that hollowed ground, you know?
Except instead of like, seeing your buddies' bloody faces in the mud, you were just like cuddling in a corner with them?
No, it was like the adrenaline of taking MDMA beforehand. It like heightened everything. It felt really real.
Whoa. And you wake up screaming in the night now sometimes thinking about it?
Thinking about that? No, I wake up giggling about it. But like, because they weren't, it was not a significant bullet.
Oh my God, hilarious.
Kind of thing. Well, you got a few different...
Well...
You could write some folk songs about it.
I had a friend...
you should write some folk songs about some Johnny Payne
I was thinking
songs.
some more rock, like Paintballs. To me is more like...
Paintball.
Paintball to me is more kind of southern blues rock.
Because it involves
genre.
like guns.
It's more like It's more... I want to say kind of a... It's not even Creedence though. Like,
no.
Although that would be good.
Well, they'd be anti-paintball.
Yeah.
They'd be kind of like... more about like kind of like to me Creedence are like Deer Hunt to the movie.
What are pro-war bands?
Like Nugent.
Yeah, Nugent is paintball.
Yeah,
fully.
Nugent is
stranglehold, dude. Yeah. That's what you want playing when
in your ears.
You hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fuck some people up out here.
So that's what I was listening to at my most recent paintball, which was, when you're in your 30s and you have a friend, Andy, if you're listening, you're going to remember this one.
This is Andy who you historically battle with.
Yeah.
You do like a modern pentathlon.
Yeah, but I didn't battle with him in this situation. I think we're on the same team, but it was his brother's stag party. We're grown men, for God's sake.
Pretty sure I've done a similar stag kind of party. Yeah, that's probably where the MDMA kicked in.
And it was like, we're going to play paintball. I was like, all right.
Strippers and paintball,
And then you go, we get out there and it's like, all right, like, I'm pretty fucking fired up right now.
Yeah, actually, frankly.
Because I'm a pretty competitive guy. You're doing capture the flag. Yeah. So at one point...
I will be capturing that flag.
I get down and I did capture it, and I thought I had to run it all the way back to my base.
Turns
and
out.
I'm like in the jungle, John Rambo.
Did you have like, were you like kind of at this point? I don't want to interrupt your story, but I'm imagining you out there, like you've kind of like got like some kind of CB radio. You're calling in a drone strike. You've got like,
I take the mask off, just bandana. I need to be able to see out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, also, I'm assuming that you're kind of Hamburger Hill style. Like you're like off-piste. You've got like, I suppose, like reinforcements backing you at this point.
No, I actually.
Oh, you just went vigilante.
At this point, I was on a solo mission in the capture the flag. That's why I say John Rambo.
Oh, you
just
went.
me out there.
You just went.
It was really funny because
it's about how many people you're going to take with you at that point.
Well, exactly. For me, it was all about the mission. So I went down there. It was downhill, downwind, due southwest towards the flag.
I've been to Vimy Ridge.
Yeah.
I've been there. And I've seen it. Defending
and then
those
back
things
up to my base
would be
was
insane.
straight uphill.
Yeah.
Up the ridge.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the flag and the adrenaline kicks in and I start just pumping it up.
Well, presumably you'd also taken kind of like some kind of like
adrenochrome. It was in testing. It was a drug they gave us.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
Jacob's Ladder,
like Metal Gear Solid's the drug like that they have in that video game. Kind of some kind of temazepam or
whatever
something.
people take when they play Call of Duty at home now.
Can you imagine like what like NAS? Like Monster Energy drink? Can you imagine how like people's grandparents who were actually at like D-Day when they go around and see their grandson and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing, son?" It's like, "I'm playing like a game based on your actual trauma."
Yeah, I'm playing.
I'm at D-Day. Like I'm at D-Day, Granddad. Like just like you were.
Yeah,
Look,
I created an avatar of you,
and I'm doing a better job.
But
than
I'm
you
fighting
did.
zombie Nazis.
Yeah,
like
zombie, and it's like happening now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the world we live in.
Yeah,
yeah. But it's okay because I have all of those like horse pills and like hydrochloroquine.
Mom,
that like
Can I get more Cheetos in here?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. Hey, Grandpa, come check this out.
Hey, come check this out. I'm you.
Oh, grab me a Pepsi before you come.
Yeah.
I want you to see this.
I want you
Look
to
at this.
see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's Rommel over there. Check this out. Fucking gunned him down, Grandpa.
Yeah.
High five.
Yeah, exactly. There's Cillian Murphy stuck on a plane.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Brad Pitt's in it.
He's in it.
Yeah,
he's
Inglorious.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's certainly there.
Yeah.
Clooney's there.
Of course.
Why is Clooney always there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he owns Hollywood.
Well, I mean, Marlon Brando would have.
You know all the nice guys in Hollywood. What they say about all the nice guys.
Oh, they're running the game.
Can't even count how many bodies are buried in their backyard, dude.
It's that kind of energy. Yeah,
Hanks?
I can see that. Hanks?
Watch out.
Really?
No. I can't say anything bad about Hanks, but I did the best thing.
He's pro-vaccine. I know that. He got it early, right?
Yeah.
In Australia. But no one knows if Australia is a real place or not. A lot of people think everyone from Australia is a false flag actor. So
a lot of big actors come from there.
I mean, they say they're from this place, but they might just be like paid actors because they are paid actors.
The interesting thing you say about that is that all Australian actors do really good American accents.
Do their own accent.
What you're saying is they're Americans.
Like Russell Crowe. You know what I watched last night? Body of Lies. Talk about a Russell Crowe performance.
Oh, and DiCaprio? That's sleazy, dude.
That's some kind of Friday feel-good American like movie that we get your whole family around and like let's watch us just kill some Iraqis for no reason.
No reason.
Zero reason.
They're just like heartless, brainless terrorists. Middle East. They're not even. You don't have to know what country they're from.
They're just on their phones the whole time,
and they're just like
they make up. In the movie that like several places in England and Amsterdam have been bombed. So it's like to rationalize like the fact that like Russell Crowe feels it's acceptable whilst he's just taking his kids to school to like organize drone strikes. It's really weird.
It's sending a message, man, about how, lightly we take these things.
Oh,
it's like that new one with Matt Damon called Stillwater. Where he's like a
Isn't
dad.
that the band in Almost Famous?
But he's like he plays.
Does he play kind of those
dad,
tunes?
No, he looks like a dorky accountant.
Okay,
but like his daughter, it's a true story.
Yeah,
and the girl wrote a book, It's so brutal. The girl wrote a book. She was in like sorry for the people who know this. I swear it was somewhere like Sweden or Germany, a European country like that.
I've heard of Europe.
And she got kidnapped, and the dad went over and sort of contacted the authorities, took the case on himself, like got
Liam
involved.
Neeson style.
Yeah, but like he wasn't an action guy. He just like got involved and like rescued her.
Oh, he did do Taken. He'd like seen Taken.
But so they made this movie based on her book, but of course they made it like Afghanistan, and it's Matt Damon.
Why would
like
they do that?
Matt Damon, like he's from like fucking Dallas, and he's like, he's like, "Where's my daughter?"
Oh,
like
nice.
the trailer was like, "There's new leads here."
Yeah,
and they're like, and it's like a guy, just like a Afghani guy being like, "You really think you can save your daughter?" And he's like, "I know I can." And he's got like a fucking Patriots hat on.
nice.
It's brutal, dude.
Is he not just being a Boston guy?
No, he's like
Well, he'd have a Cowboys hat on.
yeah, he's like
That's all I'm saying.
he's from Texas or something, but they're not. They're from. I'm getting all the facts wrong, but the real people are not from the South. I don't believe. But it's a total American Sniper style. You know.
Hollywood feel good movie of the week. Show your children. This is where we're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what our people are capable of if they fly to a country and.
Well, here's another thing that I've got. We got sent actually by. Let me see if I can remember who sent it because I thought it seemed important. Because you're kind of more up on this stuff. A lot of people talking about how McCartney died in '66, right? It's kind of a big.
I've heard a bit about this actually recently. That
What, McCartney died in '66?
Well, no, about that it was in this day in Beatles history yesterday or something that the newspaper article came out that Paul is alive because he got ahead of that story too, or did or didn't got a photo crew out to Scotland to take a picture of him.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to forgive me that I'm not going to remember who sent this to me, but it's very good, or us. But I don't know if you've ever thought of the fact that like Julian Casablancas of the Strokes died in 2003 and was replaced by Ray Romano, the American stand-up comedian. Kind of a similar look.
Bit of a different age.
Come and check out this photo, though. Come over here. You can come over here.
Isn't Ray Romano like 20 years older?
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, definitely.
You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Something to consider.
I think it's more like he's his father or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that would dispel the myth that Julian Casablancas is part of the Casablancas modeling family.
Well, let me tell you
crime
something, buddy.
syndicate.
Julian Casablancas could have died in 2003 and I wouldn't be the wiser.
Even noticed, yeah.
Because I like those first few Strokes records, but I haven't really followed their career since then.
A lot of people say that First Impressions of Earth, the third record,
I like that one.
is legit.
Yeah.
It's considered legit.
You Only Live Once. That was the jam.
Yeah, and they had like, what's his name from Arrested Development? David Cross was in one of their videos. Because they used
He was really hot at that time.
He was hot in 2003.
Coming off Mr. Show.
Yeah.
In Arrested Development. His stand-up was big, too.
He was big, yeah. And he was in like Juice Box or whatever that song was called. He was in the video for that.
It's kind of cool how David Cross was big then, and Odenkirk kind of took a back seat, the other guy from Mr. Show.
Yeah.
And now Bob Odenkirk's the big guy.
Do you need to pay your dues to speak of the blues? I know you need to play the blues.
I think so.
But to speak of the blues?
I think it's the same. In fact, I'm going to go one for... I might say that speaking of the blues, you have to pay your dues more than to even play it.
Interesting.
Because I'll sit here, give me a guitar.
Yeah.
I'll play a blues lick for you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about like knowing anything about the blues.
No.
That'd be insane.
Just wanted to hit you with that kind of one there.
No, you can't speak of the blues
No.
unless you've paid your dues.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, I just wanted to clear it up.
Yeah, earlier you were asking me about something, and I said Pantera were a blues band. What was the question?
I don't know. I think you were just a bit shook because you've had a busy day. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny's got a lot coming up. All very exciting stuff. And, he's prepping, not doomsday prepping or anything, just got a lot coming up in his life that's very exciting. You hear about us like doing this podcast. Well, Johnny's got some real shit coming up, like actually exciting music stuff. So, you've got a lot on your mind. You're setting yourself up for this big trip you're going on. We don't need to talk about it if you don't want to, but I'm really excited for you. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing some music again and being around people and making music again. It's going to be very exciting.
So anyone who's down in Southern California or in Los Angeles who wants to go and see Johnny and kind of buffer and kind of buff up that crowd, go and see him. You're going to be playing shows down there. And I'm jealous that I can't be there. That's all I'll say.
Well, plenty more to come, buddy. And you've got some shows of your own. So.
Certainly do in December. Yeah, got some stuff more localized.
That'll be fun, though.
I can't wait to play them. Yeah, I'm excited.
Playing the sleaziest venue in Vancouver.
One of the sleaziest venues of all time. Name-wise, yeah. It's named after Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that place we saw downtown? What was it called? North Hollywood?
Okay, that was supposed to be our HQ, the North...
Yes.
No, Hollywood North
Karaoke
North
strip
bar.
club. It was just a strip
club / karaoke bar.
Like Jumbo's or something.
It was, though. Yeah. Like, I think that you sounded pretty good.
Well, it's never been open, but it's still there. If anyone's got any money and wants to buy Hollywood North on... Richards?
It's on the weird... No, it's on like Seymour or something.
It's a Seymour and Dunsmuir or something.
Like in that zone that no one's ever been to in downtown Vancouver where there's nothing there. It's like
it's kind of like downtown LA.
Yeah, it's like the back side of the Hudson Bay there.
Yeah, it's weird.
Where I guess the theater... What's the theater there? The Queen E?
Queen E's nearby. They had a drag
But then there's that whole strip. There's no stores.
Nothing happening.
But that's there.
No one's ever been.
Vancouver's a bit of the nexus of the universe in that way. There's areas that I still don't understand.
No.
Canby Street, for instance. I won't go on about this for a long time.
Well, no, we can because we're actually an urban geography, kind of psychogeography, geography of the mind podcast. We've been at least for 3 weeks now a kind of situationist podcast. Fluxus situations, but we've been talking about the Velvets. So like this, it's not surprising to me that like we go that route. I'll tell you, Canby for so long in this city because they were building the SkyTrain underneath it was just a kind of like it didn't even exist. It wasn't a place you could even go for about 10 years. Then they open it up. Or are you talking about downtown?
I'm talking about you're on Canby.
Yeah, I've been there.
You go over the Canby Street
it turns
Bridge
on you.
And then to get to Hastings, you take a right on Canby.
I know, it's really weird. And that's Expo, actually.
No, Canby goes down, because Canby becomes Nelson, the bridge. And you go right on Canby. And then it goes down that weird way, like where the Media Club used to be.
The classic venue.
No one knows what's there.
Classic. I saw Jay Tillman at the Media Club.
Oh, that's...
Bluesy.
That's pretty...
It was straight... I saw Jay Tillman and it was straight blues. Mm-hmm. It was like... It was kind of Pilgrim... I guess blues is pre-Pilgrim, Pirate, and Clown, Pagan. Yeah, blues is first.
I would say.
It all comes from the blues.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently who was talking to me
because he was more Pilgrim than now he's Clown.
Yeah.
And he actually might be one of the only artists who's gone through all three.
Tillman?
Yeah. Father John Misty's like Pagan Clown.
Definitely. Well, he's been Pilgrim too.
Well, when he was Tillman.
Well, yeah.
When he just was Jay Tillman.
I don't know that he's ever been Pirate, really, though.
No, I guess he's not. But Pirate is Clown.
Yeah.
And it is.
I mean, I don't think of but Mike Love is Clown, but that's not Pirate. You know what I mean? Clown's kind of...
Yeah.
It's its own. We've gone...
Okay, there's 4 now.
Yeah, there is. But I was talking to a friend recently who was talking about...
the Venn diagram.
How there's a big scene in LA right now. A lot of people from Tibet... It was very important. They needed to reach out to me because they said there's a lot of cult energy in the music scene in LA
Like
right
pagan
now.
energy?
And they were like, Johnny, you gotta get this on the pod. It's a new one, Cult. And I was like, no, Cult is pagan. Of
course.
we know this.
It's obvious.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Cult is another one. I mean, but it's almost not even it because it just is so pagan. You know?
Well, it's British
Mamas and
pagan.
Papas.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
that's
like-
yeah for sure. But also Sandy Denny, earthy.
Yeah.
it's celestial or it's elemental. That's just what happens. And when it's cultish, it kind of takes one of those forms.
Yeah, I mean, Grateful Dead, kind of culty, pagan-y, you know.
Yeah, but clown.
But it's kind of like there's a scene apparently that's kind of like Once Upon a Time.
Well,
in
you'll be seeing it
in Hollywood.
Oh,
Vibe.
like a
Spawn Ranch feel, where it's a lot of. I think it's a lot of kind of younger people in LA hanging out, starting bands, playing music. It all sounds like 60s, bare feet, a lot of like big smiles, overly positive energy, but a little culty, you know. And quite frankly, I'm into it.
Well,
I think it sounds great.
You know that. I think everyone should read Terence McKenna's book Time Wave Zero to understand exactly what I'm talking about. We are living. Time's not linear. It's a whirlpool. It's a whirlpool formation, and we're just living right now in the bit that's the 60s again, which was probably the 20s at one point that got reinterpreted as the 60s, and now we're in it again. But it's taking on this kind of stranger Lynchian post-cube version of the 60s where, you can start the ranch again. And like on the idea that you have this kind of revisionist history version of what Manson's going to do, but it's going to turn out that like instead of Manson just like chopping up Sharon Tate, he's into like MAGA anti-vaxxing and like, Tucker Carlson or something, and he'll kill worse. Like he'll do worse, more damage, but it'll be on the internet. It won't be in real life. It'll be like
it does feel like 1970, 71 is where we're at now.
Yeah,
2021.
I'd say so. Yeah,
2020,
50 years is that
Trump, Nixon, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's similar for sure.
I'll tell you one thing: Canby Street, super Velvetsy street in Vancouver.
You feel like Canby's Velvetsy?
It's a very Velvetsy
downtown
street.
Canby.
Yeah.
It kind of feels
Velvetsy.
like Lower East Side.
Up to Lexington.
Okay,
that kind of
interesting.
like that area.
Yeah, okay.
You might go down there to kind of like.
I see it more as like, like a Lower East Side energy to me.
Yeah,
I don't know where
like,
Lexington really is in New York. I can't really think about it.
Yeah, I don't really know.
But you think that Canby is Velvetsy? Because the reason we got together today was to talk about how I made a sushi order the other day.
Right.
And when I was making it, I couldn't help but feel that it was kind of a Velvetsy order.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't feel Beatlesy.
A little bit off the beaten track.
Well, it was like, you know, that like box sushi you can get? Like where it's like box shaped, like square sushi.
Yeah.
It was like, I got like a boxed like sushi roll, which was like, it's just rice and it's basically nigiri.
Yeah.
With a miso soup. And I was just kind of like, this is pretty like Velvetsy.
Whereas if you get like, like a dynamite roll and whatever, even though it's a bit stock, it's still kind of the best. Tastes great.
I was thinking more that like a Beatlesy order would be like a special, or like would be like, I'm going to get like the caterpillar roll where it's like colorful but I know what you mean. You can break it down. So like with sushi, for example, like, I'm ordering this like quite like, it's just raw fish, rice, soup. It's kind of almost got like a communist energy.
Which is very Velvetsy, minimal third album.
Minimal, exactly.
Third album. Like,
and obviously, I don't want to make the mistake that everyone makes, talking about the Velvets, which is like to negate the fact that Doug Yule was in the band, which I don't know if you saw someone...
That was a legit account.
Yes, it was
like it was a legit Velvetsy account that echoed our thoughts.
Which is like, come on, like guys, like...
Yeah, what is going on with the vitriolic hatred of Doug Yule? Yeah.
Let him be.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly. Is he alive?
He's on half the albums.
Yeah.
And what
he's on more albums than Nico.
Yeah. and his contribution to Loaded played more on it than Lou Reed and Sterling.
And I would argue, which they...
Indie rock, and what...
Yes.
Yeah.
Hottest take. Hottest take of the week. Respect. Someone sent us this. And look, at this point, and I'm sorry I can't remember everyone's names, because I really do respect the people who send this stuff to us, and it really does galvanize us and drive this podcast forward. And I'm not forgetting it, voluntarily. It's just that, like, our life moves forward too, and there's a lot of people sending us stuff, but that was a really hot take. This guy is like, Yule is responsible for the birth of indie rock. Like, his output is like way more than like Spacemen 3, like that kind of energy, like that kind of like revivalist Time Wave Zero style Velvetsy stuff that comes, in the like late 80s into the 90s, Electra Lane, or like the Black Angels, that kind of stuff, which feels kind of like early Velvetsy. Sure, that's comes from like the first White Light, White Heat or something. But like actually
Sonic Youth. Maybe.
Yeah, sure, a little bit, yeah. But indie rock is Loaded.
I mean, I think the lineage is pretty clear, and it's, in my opinion, a lot more striking in the canon of music, in that it's like Loaded, Big Star, Modern Lovers, Television,
Modest Mouse,
REM,
yeah, IRS Records,
all that kind of
Sub
stuff.
Pop,
yeah, comes straight from Loaded, like, and then through the 90s with, I don't know, I want to say like Wilco and
sure, yeah,
I don't know. Through to the Twee stuff, obviously.
Twee majorly.
Yeah, Bell and Sebastian.
Rilo Kiley.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it.
Shiloh's, dude.
Everything I've ever made.
Like, yeah, I mean...
Are we Yule guys?
Definitely. I mean, songs like Pale Blue Eyes, I think, are among the most influential tunes of the 60s, I wouldn't really say that as much about... I know that those records were, those first two records, but I think more people wanted to make music that sounded like Loaded and the third album.
Is it bands making music that... Is it like kind of the first band to make music that sounds like the Beatles without the studio like budget and the kind of cast and crew that the Beatles had? Like, we were talking about like the Beatles having like, oh yeah, we got the... we're making lunch orders right now, and we've got the London Philharmonic on hold. They're happy. Don't worry. John, if you want to use them in the next couple of days,
in the room over there.
I don't want it to affect your performance.
Make me sound like I'm on the moon.
Ringo's on the ceiling. He's there, so high, he's on the ceiling.
I love they talk about that. That's the Beatles for you. Like how they talk about the engineers tell those stories like he was like a genius. He was like, John came in and said, he said, make me sound like my voice is on the moon. And that was John.
And I also am under a heavily legal restraining order to only say he was a genius.
Yeah.
Yoko's paying me millions of dollars to not say he was a piece of shit.
So I spent 2 weeks working on that delay.
Yeah.
And I think it
and
speaks
I'm happy
for itself. Yeah.
But it was actually John really who did it.
Yeah.
Because it was John. And also, similarly... Well, the story I always remember is the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds one, where it was like they changed the key of the song.
Right.
They're like...
And he just said, get it done.
Figure it out. I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
They just had to figure out a new way to like make it work.
It's cool, though.
It's good drama. It's cool.
Before we get back... Well... The Velvetsy Beatlesy thing.
Well, I'll tell you. What would I want to know? Sorry, what would Yule order in a sushi restaurant?
I think it'd be a very tasteful, creative order.
Okay,
but nothing that's going to be too strange to eat. There's not going to be any urchin on there.
That's very Velvetsy.
Yeah. There wouldn't be any urchin.
Kind of like nihilist order.
White light, white heat urchin.
Yeah. You're not going to order like...
It'd be good.
And or like anything that's living.
You know what it'd be like that when we went in there and you got that takoyaki?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I was kind of like,
okay,
hey, what's that?
Yeah.
And you were like, no, don't worry. It's not that weird, but it's really good.
Yeah.
And you'll like it. That's loaded to me. You know what I mean? And you're like, and I'm like,
100%.
damn straight, it's wicked, you know?
Yeah.
To me, the whole thing about that stuff, that's crazy to me. And forgive me if I said this last time because, you know, there's been a lot on my mind lately. But
listen, if a good story is worth telling twice.
Well, I just have this theory that I don't understand people who are such purists with stuff.
Yeah.
That to
Well, they have
me,
hate in their
when
lives.
things intersect,
Yeah.
is when they get good, especially in music and in rock and roll, right? So when you have like, sure, the first two records with the Velvets, and obviously there's intersection there with, you know, new music and Cage and all that, and rock and roll, doo-wop and shit.
Of course.
But what I love is all that. The strangeness of the first two albums intersecting with the pop music of the Beatles and Lou Reed wanting to make hits, but obviously sort of not being capable of making your standard pop radio hits. Yeah. And him trying to do that, mixing with that weirdness, is what makes those records so good.
Yeah.
In the doc, the part, it's so funny because they've been, as Luke was saying, they've been blasting you with those drones and like the flickering. He said he almost puked in the theater.
I think that's why, honestly, Jonathan Richman left you in Bilbao.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
I think he was just like, you're taking me back. And like, it's not true. Like, like, I love them, but like, I don't want to go back to the factory.
He's like, thank God when the third album came out that the lights stopped.
Yeah, I don't want to go to like Max's Kansas City ever again.
And they, like, the records just started to sound, forgive me, a little more rockin'. Like, it's like they're droning you out. And like what Luke said at the theater, he went to the big Hollywood hot shot
I
premiere.
saw that he was there. Was Todd Myers there?
I'm sure everybody was there.
Do you think the guy who did the soundtrack was there? The guy with the luckiest guy in the world?
Oh, yeah. He did a great job when he put Sweet Jane in that one part.
Finally.
Yeah.
He actually did a shit job because he didn't put in Loaded.
There's 2 minutes of Loaded.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, so Luke said as soon as the droning sound and the flickering
right off the top
factory stuff stopped, he said there was a collective sigh of relief in the theater. But when I was watching it, I was like, okay, there's all this music, all this Kale stuff. Yeah. Cool, very cool. I love this. Ha ha ha. Yeah. But it, I was sort of like, all right, like,
let it in.
It's been about an hour, of this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they do their like snippet on the third album, and it comes on. Boom, bang, dun, dun. What goes on in your mind?
So
and I was like, holy shit, this
rhythm
sounds
and blues.
Good. But yeah, and it just sounded clean and rock and roll, but super original. Yeah. And Candy Says comes on, and you're like, now this is like listenable. Yeah. Sorry, but I probably sound old and whatever.
I don't think so. I just think you don't sound like you have hatred in your...
Just sounds good.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. Sounds good.
The people's hatred for the third and fourth albums is, I would say, for me, one of the more puzzling things in music. Because
Nico ended up like just skagged out in Manchester, like doing heroin, hanging out with like John Cooper Clarke in the 80s. It's like, I mean, that's a Velvetsy scene.
They all died,
like
really.
Race to the, like Journey to the End of the Night kind of stuff. If you decide voluntarily in the 80s to move to Manchester to like pursue any endeavor, like you're living through some kind of trauma that, like that like gets you up in the morning. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's something that like the darkness is what makes you wake up in the morning to chase it further. Like, it's kind of like, an anti-vaxxer energy where it's like, you could just have a beer with the rest of the planet at this point who's lucky enough to just have a beer. But instead you're fueled by this really weird negative energy that like makes you believe that there's something going on that you know about. Right. And it's kind of, that's like this, it's the hate. I'm not suggesting by any means that fans of the Velvet Underground and Nico are have an anti-vaxxer energy, but there's a lot of hatred in their brains. Well, because you got to let it in. You'll let it in.
What I would say is that regardless of what you're a fan of or into, if you have that kind of thinking energy where you think like you're on to something and nobody else gets it, that kind of thing's going to drive you a little
And
nuts.
that also,
I think.
like, you're into it, and then it's like... It's always really funny with, like, Velvet Underground, too, with the first two records, because, like, you know, obviously they're good records. I challenge anyone to honestly admit whether they listen to them a lot. I know they're good, but like someone like sits and chills and is like, I'm just going to sit in a dark room and just like at 35 and like just like
well, not at our
relax.
age, surely.
I don't even know. Like, I mean, I understand that, but I don't think it's like adolescent music. Like, I think it's just like.
Well, I think it's exciting for when you first hear it.
It's so exciting when you first hear it. Of course it is, but it's not. I don't think it's quite. It doesn't fill the same kind of, I suppose, role as.
But we're pop
cultural.
guys, man.
Yeah, no, I
We're
know.
Pauls,
yeah,
man.
I understand. Well, we are Pauls for sure.
John would be like,
but it's more culture,
of course, that's
right?
all I listen to is White Light, White Heat. That's the greatest album.
Maybe he would,
But
that's
Paul would be like, I like Loaded. You know?
Loaded's pretty good.
It's got a
But John would be lying
got the ear
to you.
candy.
John would be lying.
Well, because he doesn't really know, he wouldn't know.
Do you think that I bet the Velvet Underground listened to it? Do you think they even listened to it? Is anyone really
I
listening
bet you
to
Lou
it?
Reed probably in the end dug the third one the best.
You think so?
It feels like the one that's like.
Does anyone
cool.
listening to this podcast actually ever just throw on White Light, White Heat for kicks?
Yeah.
I would look, honestly, if you do, just tell us.
I would think.
Other than to be a person who says they listen to White Light, White Heat. And then, like, that's the funny thing about the Velvet Underground, because they're so famous, because they're really good. So then you become this person who's our bar guy, our Pitchfork bar guy, who's like, yeah, I'm, like, only really into the first couple of records, but, like, honestly, like, since that Todd Haynes documentary, like, I'm kind of, like, now it's, like, famous, so I'm over it. And it's like, dude, it was always famous. It's a weird thing to be just, like, solely into.
Look, here's the thing. There are certain records that are incredibly important that they came out.
Moments. Yes.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, I'm not taking away from the importance of those albums at that time.
Of course.
But you don't go back and listen to them all the time. Like, that's just it. Like,
I guess, like, people listen to, like, Loveless by My Bloody Valentine and stuff.
But that's a similar one. Like, people still go back and, like, pump that a lot. Like, we just sound like Beatles fans right now.
I pump Soon off that record because it's got kind of like a MDMA
there's
beat.
And I'll throw on, like...
Glider is good.
I'll throw on Femme Fatale.
Okay.
I love it.
Heroin, though? Is anyone
I'll Be Your Mirror. I love it. I'll listen to that.
That's a nice tune, yeah.
It's nice. In the morning, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Heroin, yeah,
Sunday
sometimes.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe people listen
I like
to Heroin.
Jesus on the third one.
Yeah.
On the third one. The third one I actually really like.
Venus in Furs.
That's good. I mean, it's pretty intense.
Pretty intense to
like,
chill to.
It's not really like just like a cereal. You have your cereal and throw that one on. Like,
not. Well, what
White
kind
Light,
of cereal?
White Heat, it like the title track rips.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I like when people cover it. Like, it's a great song. Like, Bowie does a good version.
Yeah.
You know.
What kind of cereal are the Velvets eating?
Well,
would you say?
Yeah, well, no, you can't ask me. You got to ask me a cereal and ask me if it's Beatlesy or Velvetsy.
Oh, okay. Cheerios.
Beatles.
Weetabix.
It sounds Velvetsy.
It's
to me.
really Velvetsy. Yeah, absolutely. Cornflakes.
Fruit Loops are very Beatlesy.
I think all cereals Beatlesy.
It's pretty Beatlesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold baked beans.
Beatlesy. Weirdly.
No, it's Velvet.
Feels British.
Punishment.
Though. Yeah, I guess.
Kind of a sadist.
That's your criteria.
Energy.
But what I'm
give me a couple.
What I'm trying to say is that a lot of people talk about Stonesy versus Beatlesy.
Yeah,
and I actually think Velvetsy versus Beatlesy is more on the spectrum because Stonesy and Beatlesy.
Well, here's why. Because you got Velvetsy versus Beatlesy is also ostensibly Pitchfork v Rolling Stone. Mm-hmm. It's also Mods v Rockers, weirdly, although that's a bit of a different vibe because like they're both mods, kind of.
And it's like chart hits
versus
albums.
Nearly Man album. Yeah.
Versus just like...
Or just like kind of, and also success fee
Radio
failure,
play
but
versus
art
record
cred.
store.
Okay, yeah. Record
You know?
store day versus
radio play.
even though the Beatles have ubiquity over all of that stuff, but it doesn't really
Well,
count.
yeah, but it's like the Velvets, the copy of Loaded that's sitting there for $80.
Yeah.
That's more coveted in the store than any Beatles album they've got.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Unless
like,
a
yeah, you
dad
can go
comes
get
in.
the Beatles album. They sold millions
Oh,
more.
yeah. But if you want to get like Pacific Ocean Blue by Dennis Wilson, or like Bandwagon-esque by Teenage Fan Club, or like Radio City, or this is all Velvetsy.
You go into any record store in the world.
Jacques Dutronc.
I'm going to stand by this statement. Any record store in the world, and you ask them, should I buy Loaded or should I buy Revolver?
Yeah.
They're going to say get Loaded.
Yeah.
Everybody.
100%.
Everybody.
Some of them might even say get.
I'm a Beatles guy, and I would have said
Only You Remember My Name by David Crosby.
totally. But I would have just said take Loaded.
Honestly,
'Cause,
risk it.
Risk it because you'll hear Revolver.
Yeah,
You'll get it.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've been there.
But Loaded.
Loaded, and also you're gonna get laid twice as much if
And
you can pull that one out of your back pocket.
It rules.
I've heard it. Rock and roll's. I have a 7
Rock and roll
inch.
every time it
I have a
comes on.
7-inch of Sweet Jane and Rock and Roll.
Yeah, you said that. That's
It's insane.
amazing.
It's an original 7-inch of that.
mean,
It must
that-
be worth thousands of dollars.
And that's what I mean.
Exactly.
Record store versus radio play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is rain? Fucking
Throw on-
rain. End of the day, man. Fucking, here's what I'm saying. Fucking, yeah, rock and roll, man. It is rock and roll, yeah. But like fucking Rain, man. What's on the fucking other side of Rain?
Paperback writer.
Fucking Paperback Writer. My fucking first band was called Rain before Oasis.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's my fucking band.
A lot of water.
Fucking Noel was on tour with the fucking Spiral Carpets, yeah. He was guitar teching. He was on tour with fucking Spiral Carpets. And I was in a band called fucking Rain with Bonehead, yeah. We were writing fucking tune after tune, playing at the fucking boardwalk. The band who shared our fucking jam space was called the Radiators of Love, yeah. And we were fucking playing there, and then Noel came back. He came in and he said to me, kid, you're all right. Let me join your band. And then we changed our name from Rain to fucking Oasis. And that's where it happened, yeah.
Wow.
But we were originally named Rain. Which
Is that after the Beatles song or just...
fucking mad for the fucking Beatles. Best band in the world.
Huh.
Without a doubt. It's true that,
Yeah.
It's true.
I'll tell you, there are a few tunes,
Kind of Beatlesy, Oasis.
one might say. Definitely more
Some might
Beatlesy than
say.
Velvetsy. Some might say.
Yeah, exactly. They are a bit Beatlesy.
Some might say is such a fucking Oasis-y
might say.
And it follows summer.
Summer. Go and tell it to the man who cannot shine. It's cool that they made a career out of the word shine.
Yeah.
I respect that. In a way.
Yeah.
What do you think that okay.
But bands.
Okay, no,
you could
I'm just saying like a Kappa roll, cucumber roll, kind of Velvetsy,
big
but
time.
also kind of just like Hard Day's Night.
I think Hard Day's Night's a lot of fun. It's a lot of I know what you mean about the roles that are more fun. Kind of that have more going on production
Production-wise.
orchestration.
Well, you get a Kappa roll, it's 2 tracks.
That's what I mean.
It's a 2-track roll. It's
like a
cucumber
miso
and rice.
soup and a kappa roll
That's-
is the third album.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. But then you start adding like kind of sesame seeds to it.
Nigiri's
That's
all
percussion.
Velvets. Like that's all
100%.
without a fucking
End of the day, without a doubt.
But I'm talking like you go off to the specialty menu. You're definitely right. Caterpillar roll, fucking
Yellow
dragon
Submarine.
roll. Exactly. Yellow Submarine.
It's Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Let It Be. They tried to take it kind of just straight up like California
They
roll.
tried to just go strict.
like
Yeah.
exactly spicy tuna. Like
Yeah, exactly.
did I tell you I got it? I've been trying to get this out, even though I know we could do like a million pods on the Beatles.
Oh, well, I'm thinking we probably will.
That I listened to the Let It Be.
Yeah, I've heard
Atmos.
of that record.
Overall, thought it wasn't as good as the original mix.
Yeah.
But there was one moment on I've Got a Feeling that there's a part in it. Everybody can listen. I noticed what Giles did. Also, I heard what you said about the fucking... the trigger on the kick drum on tuba. He does do something.
It's like EDM
It's
kick.
weird. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
It sounds a bit like Blue Monday by New Order.
Well,
he's added a trigger for sure.
Before it was a lot more thuddy.
No, he's added like an electronic drum trigger.
I don't know why. Because
maybe like a trap thing, maybe to make it more relevant.
I used to think that was the best sounding kick drum I'd ever heard.
Two of Us is the best song on the record, and he's managed to derail it slightly.
Well, I've got an argument for that.
Wider too,
because I heard another song on it that I always thought was great called "I've Got a Feeling."
I've heard of it.
That he did one thing that was very cool. There's a part at the start that Paul goes,
"You're pro Giles."
He did one thing to. He didn't make the song better, but he did one thing that I liked.
He put
one
auto-tune.
No, he did one thing.
Kind of a trap thing.
It's on the roof, and John and Paul both have mics.
Yeah.
And I've listened to that song on the original Let It Be
up, down, all around
1,000 times.
Yeah.
And he goes, a feeling deep inside, oh yeah. And then he backs off the mic, and you hear him go, oh yeah, that's right. You hear him do it because they're pumped.
Oh.
But what Giles did is he turned up
gain clipped
both John's and Paul's mic, because I never knew John says it with him. So it goes, a feeling deep inside, oh yeah. And then you hear them both go, oh yeah, together, and it fucking rules.
Nice.
I never knew John did it. And then Paul goes, that's right. And you hear John and him say that together.
That's cool.
And instantly,
it
made me realize that song is the best song on the record. Because
they were
the camaraderie between John and Paul is back for that moment, and then it rocks and then it rocks so hard, and then the moment where Paul finishes his section and John comes in with the everybody had a hard year, and I realized it's a perfect Lennon McCartney tune, because it's one they wrote together later in their career. It's so beautiful and sweet that they put aside all the lawyers and the money and the bullshit, and they're on that roof playing rock and roll. But what I'm saying is that it took Giles bumping up that thing to make me think about the song in that way. So kudos to you and your Coke buddy Sam.
What you're saying is Sam O'Kell, Giles Martin, Trevor from Space Hog, Joaquin Phoenix
went like this on John's
the fruit guy,
automated
the fruit guy from outside of the Whole Foods on Santa Monica, or Lassen's, or whatever.
He puts the salt on the fruit,
the salt stuff. It took all those guys and Tony Montana's coke habit to turn up a fader on McCartney,
or just on John they just automated up his first
couple
second.
of dB,
for a second.
$2 million.
The rest of it didn't sound any different to me. Like,
and then there's that DMX kick drum on Two of Us.
Pretty much all I heard.
Yeah. Drum of us. They should have sped up the BPM on that.
That would have been cool.
I would have thought that would be nice. Kind of make it more of a like. Remember when Avicii kind of like invented like country music EDM?
Yeah.
Like Two of Us would sound great with a mix like that.
Well, that's kind of like how DJ Khaled
you mean the
Khaled?
musician DJ Khaled, yeah. The musician, you mean.
How he was just gifted.
Not DJ. I think we're talking about someone different. You're talking about DJ Khaled. You mean the musician Khaled.
The reggae musician.
Khaled.
Because he just was gifted that Bob Marley guitar, right?
Well, he was gifted it by the Marley estate for his services to music.
Right.
Because, I mean, the way I see it, his services to music kind of mirror Bob Marley's. I think it's a really similar vibe. And also, well, I mean, you've seen, if anyone who hasn't seen the video, certainly worth watching DJ Khaled getting given a guitar by the Marley estate. And it's worth watching just to see how confidently he strums that thing. with no idea what a guitar is. Zero idea of what it is. But it's a, you know,
But like, is there no idea, or
It's kind
are
of a
there no rules?
Velvetsy kind
Or are
of
there
way
no
of-
rules, James?
well, it's a kind of Velvetsy way of playing the guitar.
Definitely. Definitely.
Like, it's a Kale style way of playing. So in that sense, maybe maybe he's just he's more Velvetsy. DJing's kind of Velvetsy.
Yeah, even though weirdly Marley's definitely more Beatlesy.
He's definitely more Beatlesy, but DJing is kind of anti-music, so it's more Velvetsy.
Oh, it's definitely more Velvetsy, for
Yeah.
sure. No question about it.
Yeah.
No question about it.
What do you think about the NFL? What's the NFL?
Pretty Beatlesy.
Because it's like a lot of moving parts and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people working on it. It's also like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like
Or
the number one.
America.
NFL's number one in America.
In America, it is.
Yeah, so we're the Beatles.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, actually, if you think about it that way. But it is what about mods v rockers? What about okay.
And football, soccer football
Yeah.
is obviously more Velvetsy. Simple game.
Yeah.
Few guys and a ball. Keep
Yeah.
it simple, you know what I mean?
about guns versus knives? Guns are Beatlesy, knives are Velvetsy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Because I think Velvetsy...
Happiness is a warm gun. Velvetsy are
but
kind
I'm
of...
thinking white light, white heat has a lot of gun energy to it to me. It's very aggressive.
Tommy guns?
Aggressive
Isn't it stabby
sounds.
aggressive, though?
Yeah, but the guitars and stuff are very...
Mods v
stabby,
rockers
I
is
think.
complicated. What about Harley Davidsons versus Vespas?
Yeah, I think that I mean, it's hard to not include the Stones. Maybe there's three.
That it might be a
I think
pagan
it's all
pirate
three.
pilgrim
Yeah,
kind of
you need
clown.
to include, because even though Neil said you can break every band down to Beatles and Stones, I think you got to add Velvets.
Well, what's Neil?
He always said depends on his group. Crazy Horses Stones, Buffalo Springfield Beatles, CSNY Beatles.
They wish they were Beatles.
Well, but if you had to pick one,
Right.
because they were
they would
big and
yeah.
whereas Crazy Horses Stones energy, right?
They're
Speaking of which,
they're more like Velvet's energy.
well, yeah, but
Honestly.
they didn't know you could include that
Because they never
Neil
heard the
doesn't know who the
Velvets.
Velvets are.
No, he's never.
I bet
heard
he's
of them.
never heard of
He's
them.
more into trains.
Same way that George Harrison's never heard of Neil Young.
Yeah.
Neil Young's never heard of the Velvet Underground. I'd stand by
George
it.
Harrison has heard of Neil Young, but only for a laugh.
Yeah, when he needs to have a laugh.
Yeah, when he's hanging out with Bob Geldof and needs to have a laugh.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm not going to keep getting into it, but I just want everybody out there to know that I could do a whole podcast on I've Got a Feeling and why it's so good.
It's
okay?
very likely that we'll be doing that, given that you're
I
going
could talk
away.
about. I could be fired up.
Well, we'll do it tomorrow, and then it'll be the patrons can hear it.
But
on
you know what
Sunday.
else? We should do one on, even though I think we already did. I don't know if we did it on it or not.
At this point, who knows?
But I listened today to the Super Deluxe Tattoo You.
Oh, it's in Atmos.
Dude, it ripped, man.
I bet it does.
And I have to admit, it did sound a bit better.
Really?
It was electric, man. The guitars were just piercing. And I was thinking, now that's a good record. Like, that's a good way to make a record, man. Just like, you can tell they're just rocking. Great sound. You got an engineer in there. You know what I mean? Dialing up the guitars. And then it's just like, get in there.
Yeah.
Start rocking.
We posted a photo the other day of an AI version of the Beatles all...
Compressor head?
No, not compressor head. It was someone had put all of the Beatles' faces into a face app to create a single person known as the Beatles.
Yeah.
And we posted it on our stories, and then me and you were talking. I was like, it's somebody.
Yeah.
And I figured that it's Senator John Kerry as a young man.
Does look like Gary.
Yeah, that's who it is. It took me a while. And I want to end...
Can I tell you
Yeah, go on
a
now.
Beatlesy story about John Kerry?
I imagine he's probably into the Beatles for sure.
One time I was down at the Bridge School benefit, the Neil Young thing.
Yeah.
First time I saw Paul McCartney play.
Yeah.
And the big election was on.
So presumably Neil was in full Beatles mode.
Full Beatles and full Kerry mode.
Oh,
because he hated
interesting.
Bush.
Yeah,
you know.
Did he? Because he liked Reagan.
Yeah, but this was later. This was when nobody was in. Then this was like
this is a post Let's Roll.
Yeah, this would have been about 02, 03.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So it's like literally just probably doing Let's Roll actually.
And I never forgot. It cracked me up because it was so Paul. He came out and he was at the piano at one point and he said, "It's really great to be here." And he said, "I'd like to do a little song for you now.
Yeah.
It's a little tune called Let It Be."
Oh.
And then he said, "And may I just say, let it be Kerry."
Oh, wow.
But it always cracked me up. It was such a Paul
Some
joke.
Owl Grove energy.
Let it be Kerry.
Yeah. He's, doing that for John. John died for this similar things, Yeah. I just want to finish this episode off here with a little thing, and I don't want to dox this guy because he's a great guy, and he's, we get a lot of messages from our, community.
Right.
Our iWall community. But this guy cracked me up so much. I'm not going to say his name, but I think he knows who he is. And he works in a guitar store in Canada. You can replace this with, I don't know, a Guitar Center or whatever in England it exists. But I sent him a message. Well, he's been responding to stuff and he's been cracking me up, this guy. And I just thought this was really funny because he messaged and said to me, I asked him if he'd been playing as a guitar store employee in any kind of interstate, interprovincial, like blues tournaments. Anything specific, because how we know, like a lot of when you're working in guitar stores, you're kind of like, billeted into different like states because, it's competitive out there.
Let's just say, buddy, that your resume is played on 12 frets.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. Yeah. So he wrote back to me, "I'm actually moving into an assistant management position in a new store.
Impressive.
And for assistant managers, we're judged on how well we can assist the manager on their blues tournament performance. Huh. Really measuring the nuance of what it means to be a great guitar tech. Because, after all, what is a guitar tech if not the assistant manager of the stage?"
Mad
God
respect.
bless you, dude.
Mad respect for that
and that
guy.
shit got me real good today. I was laughing at that for about 25 minutes.
I mean, I've
today.
said it once and I'll say it again. People who work for this here company are the salt of the earth and they deserve the Order of Canada.
They do. Respect, everyone. Have a nice rest of your week.
Bye-bye.